Hello, my name is Tina Parrish, and this is Tina Parrish Coaching. And this is a functional movement class. And the theme for the class today is foundation training. Foundation training really is just lower body activation and being aware of how we are standing or our stance when we begin to move the upper body or even forward folds. So it's helpful to help with the back, making sure the back is safe, and also the moves, these two moves we will be doing can alleviate back pain. This is an intermediate to advanced foundational training class, so you might want to try the beginner functional movement foundation class first. To begin, make sure that you have a band and make sure that you have some weights, or even a yoga block works very well if you want to hold something out in front of you. It can be very beneficial to the core, but lots of times you don't want to work with the gravity or the pull down. Have a nice sturdy chair that is not going to roll away from you. So let's begin. So we're going to start in all planes. It's important to understand how the body moves, where it moves. It moves in one plane sometimes, and then it can move in two planes at once. And there's 3 planes total. So let's get to know these planes. Very, very simple. We're just going to come forward and back. And just feel some activation and some lengthening. So when you come back, there's a little bit of squeezing of the glutes, there's stretching the front of the legs. And then there's the reversal when we come forward, a little bit more contracting in the quads and lengthening of the hams. So it's up to you where you want to stance. Today we're going to focus a lot on stance. I'm going to go loose and easy with you right now. But just notice little things that if you're maybe shifting to one side too much, or if you're squeezing the mat with your toes, or even if your knees are coming inward. So just notice those habits a bit and what you're comfortable with. You're not looking for range. This is just a beginner warm up just to see where you're at. You might have a stiff back today and you might be able to only take 10% of your upper body weight forward, or even 20 before that's enough for you. There we go. Just 20 seconds in that plane just to see how you're feeling. So now we're going to come laterally. We'll move lateral. You feel stretching and contracting on the sides. And so let's start by shifting side to side. We'll turn this into movement. And we're not looking for the deepest range. We have to take into account how your knee is feeling as you shift that weight, how your back is feeling. But you can't accentuate that by sliding a hand down. Making sure you're understanding that we're in what's called the frontal, even though it's the side, frontal plane. So be aware if you happen to be coming forward more than coming to this side, and just work with that. Work with what your body can do in these 20 seconds. Again, this is just a good time, a good place to see what you might need to watch out for your body, whether it's like the SI joints or the lower back or hips. And there goes our 20 seconds. So the final plane is where we rotate. Some of us don't want to rotate. Some of us need to be careful about how we're twisting or turning the body. So let's begin with the pivot. It starts in the ankle. I'm going to pivot the ankle out. The knee will follow. And pivot the other ankle. And now you're facing the opposite direction without spinal movement. Just working with the foundation. Then your ankles direct. And then if you want to take the pivot, start to work up how hard the transverse plane is, you can start to add a rotation. So go pivot into rotation or revolve. And again, just listen to the body. Take your time getting there. Keep working with the ankles, the knees like that. The knee stays a bit safer. And we're giving the knees a little bit more power. Excellent. So let's put ourselves on a couple of different planes, right? So we broke down the planes one at a time. So we're going to come forward. We're going to come into that forward and back plane. And then seeing if you have any rotation. There's limited rotation in the thoracic, that's the mid region because of the ribs. And you're just seeing what kind of rotation you have. if you're able to look to each side of the room as you put those two planes into play. Excellent. Come all the way up. Great. We're going to lean to the side. Let's bring an arm up a bit. If you can't go overhead with that, it's perfectly okay to put the hand, leave it on the shoulder or even down as you lift, and stretch the rib cage and shift the weight out. Breathe in, breathe out. And let's take that opposite hand and gently put it forward, making sure that the rest of your body is not following. So we're in those two planes. We have the upper body coming forward in the front and back of sagittal plane, and we're also in the lateral there. And just aware of these planes that we're in. So here we go, we're gonna do that lateral stretch. And then extend that arm out and reach. And then come back down. So go to the side view one more time. We just want to be aware during the day of when we get into these different planes and how they can challenge our body in different ways. And when we need to be aware. And even our workout today, as I put you in several different planes, you're just aware of how you're moving. Great, we're gonna go up to the neck, we're gonna do some quick vagal toning. It's great, it realigns the C1, C2. It kind of opens up these rest and relaxation nerves. We see better, we taste better, we listen to our heart and our stomach better. So let's do a little bit of tuning. Let's start right above the eyebrows, which some tapping, also called emotional freedom technique. Taking in some breaths, and that's something else that you want to be aware of is your breath, and if sighs are coming in and expanding the lungs a bit. Working our way down, there's some points in the ear, right above the ear canal. If we can just kind of work our fingers in there and just move them back and forth a little bit in that pressure point. Oftentimes when we're activated or upset, the inner ear actually turns off. And so we're kind of soothing that connection. So remember to take deep breaths and maybe hear a little bit better of what's being said in that gap, right, between the stimuli and your response. Let's take some deep breaths through the nose. And exhale out the mouth. We'll do one more, just make it 3. And then a quick eyeball stretch to just work the fiber optics. You're looking forward and you're taking your eyeballs, stretching across the room as far as you can to one side. Blinking is okay. Holding that stretch. Feeling your eyeballs work the corner. And then slowly pulling back so you don't get too dizzy. And then opposite side. And again, notice if there's breaths or sighs coming in. We're looking to relax, to center a bit the body as we get into movement more. Looking forward, excellent. Another pressure point right below the nose, just do a little tapping there. And then the masseter jaw, this is the hardest working jaw, our hardest working muscle in the body. Let your jaw drop so we learn to not use unnecessary muscles when we don't need them. We don't need our jaw clenched through the workout. Waggle your tongue a little bit. And let's come down to these thick ropey muscles here in the neck. And just taking your thumb and your first finger and just massaging a bit. And coming back to the base of the skull, right? That occipital bone, just coming up high for a minute and feeling that bone coming out. And working below, there's some grooves. And then you start to feel the muscle there as you work down and just massage. And breathe. So if you can get a massage from anyone, if you're not paying for it, someone in the household, and you say, just for a few minutes, just ask for this place right here in the C1, C2, these muscles right near the base of the spine. Hands over the throat and just swallow for a moment. Those are part of our rest and relaxation. Nerves, we want that response working. And let's go into a Om, which really sounds like an for a tone. What's your tone today? How would you like it to sound? Everything is vibration, just a vibrational moment there. Cross the hands over, right and left hemispheres of the brain working here, and we're just going to tap. When you're feeling activated or anxious, this is a great move to do. Across the arms, the right and left brain of the hemispheres start to work. We start tapping. It takes away from the emotional trouble that maybe came in, that feeling, that activation. It goes elsewhere. The brain is needed elsewhere. Slide a hand over the heart, one over the stomach. Open the rib cage up a little bit and drop the sit bones towards the back of the knees. And let's take 3 deep inhales and exhales. Really attempting to expand, work on diaphragmatic breathing here, which is just large, deep inhaling and exhaling. Super simple, as we tend to kind of breathe shallow and get busy, things like that. Draw the hands behind. We're going to cover the fingers with the thumb, and we're going to go to the lumbar, and we're getting to that Tai Chi move of Ming Meng stimulation. So Ming Meng refers to your spine or lower back, and we're tapping around it and opening the chest up a bit at the same time. So make sure the shoulders are not rolled forward when you're tapping. You're actually rolling them, floating them, lifting them back, and to begin tapping. It's a nice yin and yang move here. And then we'll go into some neck movement, right? For the vagal toning's done, let's go into some actual moving here. So standing just with feet shoulder length apart, hands towards or out, whatever you prefer. Let's do a simple Pilates neck roll. It's just turning from one side and then to the other, as many times as you feel needed. Let's go to slower pace. And again, access the breath and the size. It's worth it to take this 5 to 7 to even 10-minute time to tone this area in our neck, the C1, the C2. All these various exercises. Go ahead and look forward, and then we're going to do a simple salamander stretch. We have limited mobility here laterally as we drop the ear towards the same shoulder, but we do have a stretch. And we can drop that. So if I'm going right to right, I can let those T-caps slide off a little bit. If you're okay with the compression kind of working down the spine a little bit more, so you might feel it in the lumbar. So it's okay if you want to keep your T-cups up on your shoulder. And come back upright. Just feel it out slowly. There's going to be limited range. There would likely be some stiffness. You can experiment by dropping that same arm down. And then you can feel more compression coming down the spine on one side. Bring the head forward, and we're going to lift and bring the chin down, but we're going to make sure that we do not kink the hose when we come all the way back, nor marry the chin towards the heart. So all that means is we've got some limited range here and want to be kind to the C1, C2 in the back there. So as you come up, your eyes should be able to stay on the wall in front. And you shouldn't feel your chin go too far close towards the heart. Slow movement, and it's okay to hold it in the time frame that I'm offering you. So it can be one up and one down if that works for you. Now let's balance the head over the torso, the roof of the mouth over the heart. That sort of puts you, or wherever you think it's at, right? Close to it. Make sure you're dropping the jaw. And now we have, and the crown of your head pulling up. And now we're going to slide the head forward without moving the rest of the body. And then have it Come back over, roof over the heart, roof of the mouth of the heart, and then see if you can slide it back. It's gonna be a little bit of popping. Gentle, we're not going for range. We're just going for sensory. Excellent. Okay. Check in for a moment with yourself and see if you hear, if you've arrived just a little bit more and feel ready for more. So let's go for a nice posterior stretch. We're going to use the chair. We're going to do downward facing dog. You start at tabletop. Work your way back. Take your time here. As we call posterior because there's so much happening behind you. There's the shoulders lengthening. There's flexion in the thoracic, and there's extension in the lumbar. You're also feeling it in the hands. It's okay to bend the knees when you first start. Roll up a bit, see if you can find some cow, some tabletop, and if you're okay with the compression, or a cat tabletop, and if you're okay with the compression, a little bit of cow there. As we get on that spinal waves, we work the flexion. Start feeling the shoulders a little bit more. You can put some body weight on there. If you're ready for that, that adds. Become more aware of spreading the fingers out on the chair. And if you are putting body weight, trying to see if you can distribute the weight to the fingers as much as you're putting it on the palms and rotate the elbows inward to help the shoulder structure. So there's so much going on here. You can kind of pick and choose. You can get into that plank. You can feel some scapula. So bending the elbows, putting the blades together and pushing. But you don't have to. Just go what's going to work for you here. I'm going to accentuate the lumbar and the hams in a minute. Okay, so walk the feet forward a little bit. So the hips are feeling as if they're being pulled back. You don't have to hyperextend the knee, which means push them out. You can have a nice soft knee. And see if you can pull back a little bit. Have the sensation of someone's hands are on your hips and they're gently pulling you back. As we extend the lumbar and stretch the hams a bit deeper. Tight hams can be a big culprit for back pain. And so we're working on the hams here. These are our foundation training cues. Is having the hands on the hips and feeling the hips drop back a little bit more. And then step back a little bit more. We're going to go single foot here and see if we get on a single foot. There's a lot going on with balance, making sure the weight isn't shifting out, but seeing if you can feel the stretch on the leg that's anchored a little bit deeper when one foot comes off the floor. So being able to transfer, let's get into the foundation cues a little bit more. So if you're going to go on that single foot, we really need to have a good foundation on the other foot. So lift the toes up a bit, stretching them out, carefully placing down the big toe, little toe, feeling the outside of the foot, so away a bit from the arch, and then anchoring into the heel with a soft knee. I don't want to hyperextend. I want a little bit of a soft knee. And then go ahead and lift that leg up. See if you have any ability to pull back, push back a little bit away from the chair. So likely feeling it in the calf. A little perturbation, a little shaking, that's going to be normal. And take your time transferring. It's not a quick transfer. It's like a feeling transferring foundation. So going to the other foot, stretching out the toes. Putting the big toe, little toe back down. Feeling the outside away from the arch a bit more. And then the heel and a little bit of a soft knee. Not going to hyperextend. I'm going to lift that leg up and see if you can stretch back. Now take that back heel and go inversion a little bit. So that's a little bit towards the center. So you can almost just feel that heel turning in just a little bit. So you can feel it in the hips. Instead of pushing out and away, you want to go inward just a little bit. That'll help you get that knee over the second and third toe. Taking your time coming down. Again, you spread the fingers out, spread the thumbs, so not all the weight is on the palms and it's equally distributed. Take your time, walk forward, and see if you got a forward fold or maybe just a tabletop. So here's tabletop. Now, inversion is where the head goes lower than the heart. And that's a forward fold, and that's optional. Take your time. The chair is a great apparatus. It helps you lift that body weight up, right? It's 30% of your weight is that upper body. And so it's okay to use the chair and find out how you're going to come up and come out of it. Excellent. We need to go to the hips and we need to go to the shoulders before we get to the second half of the class. First class is like all about the mobility, length training. The second half is really about that strength training, taking a lot of what we're learning here, especially foundation standing cues with us. Okay, step as wide as you're comfortable and go back to the foundation. Lift the toes up a bit, stretching out the feet. Placing the toes back down, feeling a bit of that eversion, that's outside. So yeah, I'm gonna feel the weight come out more, lift up off the arch, which is gonna be good for the knees because the knees start to come out when you do that. Go into soft knee and then into the heel, right? So we kind of go first point, second point, third point on the feet, hop up to the knee just for a second and then back down to that heel, that fourth point. Breathe in, breathe out. And see if you can come forward into a fold. And then if you can transfer side to side. So you've got the chair to take away from the body weight because this can be pretty intense. So we don't have to come all the way over and put that body weight on the knee if we're not ready for that. Pay attention to how your lumbar is feeling. If you're noticing it's compressing or getting into what's called a C curve, you might want to tuck your belly button in a little bit more, but not round out the center of your spine. So opening up the hips, right, there's over a dozen muscles attached to the hip. It's that ball and socket. It's got a lot of movement, forward, back, side, all places. And I'm going to be turning your feet a little bit and get to some warrior positions. So as we're bending over to one side, we're going to turn our foot out 90 degrees. And make sure that you're okay with that. So we want to see that front foot, back heel, intersect with the arch of the foot behind. And just attempting to open up the hips a little bit more. If bending on the knee is too much, you can straighten out. You can get more into a triangle position. And as we go to the other side, go back to the foundation, back to the feet, 90-degree pivot inward, transfer opposite side. And then it's a 90-degree pivot out. Making sure that front heel intersects with the middle of the arch in the back foot. If you don't like the knee bent, you can come up into triangle. Just getting into the hips a little bit more, a little bit deeper. Back to center, pivot the foot forward. And let's see what you have in terms of a goddess squat or a sumo squat. And as soon as we can do a hold here. Just throwing one yoga pose here. So I'm coming up on that goddess squat. I'm not looking for that compression. So I might want to drop the sit bones down a little bit more and tuck my belly button in. Have your arms come out to the side, lift them up like you're holding two bowls, and just bend the elbow, both of them. Keep the knees from gravitating to center and push them out over the toes. Now you're welcome to use the chair to come up, right? The chair's a great apparatus, or you can try to come up on your own here. Take your time. Foundation, work the feet. It's more than one way to come in. You can come in nice and safely, working the ankle back and forth. Okay, into the shoulders. Same thing, right? So we'll start with flexion, try and go easy, and then add some strengthening, which increases the mobility, right? Flexion plus strength equals more mobility. So here's the flexion. What can we do? Put our hands on the shoulders. Begin some rotation. So we're feeling the chest open. We're feeling the blades squeeze together. This is an excellent move to stay with. I think the progressions that I offer start to feel like they're too much. Just come back to this one. And let's go into a hold here. So just squeezing the blades back, opening up the chest. Feeling the ribs cage lift and maybe dropping the sit bones towards the back of the knees a little bit. So I'm just gonna tilt my pelvis down a little bit, steady out the pelvic bowl. Feel the chest lift and take 3 deep inhales and exhales out. Remember this finishing position right here when we get into strength training. We can easily forget. We start focusing on the move and building the muscle, and we can kind of forget about the foundation, the most important part of exercise. So rib cage lifted, a little bit of squeezing, dropping the sit bones towards the back of the knees. Come out, grab the band if you want to. Or repeat the last few exercises if you really like those and what they were bringing towards you. Here's the resistance, right? And just practice here. You want your elbows nice and straight. You're looking to come up overhead. And then you're looking to see if you can come up behind. If you're not sure, you wait it out and you build. You want to be ready for it when you feel able to come all the way up and around. What's great about the band is you can control how much weight you're pulling. It's just a little slide out. It feels like it's too much. Elbows nice and strong. You want to come from the shoulders. The prime movers, nowhere else. So those loose elbows stay, either the band's too tight or you're having difficulty accessing your prime movers. And that can happen for various reasons. Bursitis, rotator cuff issues, things like that. So just work to your range. Coming out right in front here is great strengthening work too. So there's something for everybody here. Excellent. All right, we're all primed up, right? Taking the time to work the calming nerves, work the neck, go into the planes, do some lengthening, makes us so much more ready for the strengthening component of this class. So I have a bunch of sets, a bunch of circuits for you here. Want your weights nearby or your yoga block, which is a great alternative and still will give you an excellent workout. So we're going to start with that wide leg foundation training move. So to get more familiar with that, let's go back to the beginner functional movement foundation training video to see a little bit more about those cues and about this move. We're going to end up doing a wide leg, either forward fold or sumo squat. It's going to be your call, with being able to curl and being able to come up overhead with that, right? So this is intermediate, advanced. So let's go over the move, then let's add the weight or the yoga block and see where you're at with that. Foundation, down to the feet, right? 4 points. We sneak the knee in there between point 2 and 3. Got big toe, little toe outside of feet. Pop up to the knee, make sure they're listening over the second or third toe, and draw into the heel. Gonna go into a curl from this position, and then see what you have up overhead. Okay, great. So optional here. Now I'm gonna squat a little bit more. You might not be okay with the squatty. You might be like, I really just want to use that foundation move and just hold myself up and just work the upper body from there. But know that there is more in that move. I want you to work it in different ways. Like Tina's always changing it when she's doing it. Yeah, because I'm making it functional. I'm thinking about the various ways of how you might push a box up or how you might grab something and take it down. So there is the movement. So now you decide, what am I going to grab? What kind of weight am I going to use to add this? We start with the foundation. Work your way up from there. And find your moments here where you can hold the pose. We go up overhead and make sure that we're feeling okay with the pelvic bowl. Do we need to drop the sit bones a little bit more towards the back of the knees? Lift the rib cage up and breathe. So you can spread the toes out as you come back down. Right? Want to find these pausing moments. Here's another one. You can hit a lot of these cues. It's not all about the number of reps that you're doing, but it's about that isometric action of being able to hold and hold well. And we've got that set out of the way. So the rest of them are going to look pretty much the same. Different feet stances with the legs, arms coming out with the weights, but always the foundation is the same, right? Foundation training throughout this. Do I feel stable? Start at the feet, work your way all the way up. So we are going to have a Romanian deadlift on this next one. Combining that wide leg forward fold, which we did the sumo, and working more into a deadlift on this one. So I'm not going to hyperextend the knees. I'm going to have a little soft knee. Going to come forward. And so the movement will be a raise. And then it will progress to a quicker swing. If you want to take that. And we'll find our moments of hold here and go through the foundation and make sure, okay, decide what you want to hold. Yoga block, 5 pounds, 10 pounds. I'm going to build up to that swing. I'm going to work on control a little bit. Right, what can you feel in this moment in the foundation? Can we go into a hold here? Drop the sit bones a little bit more towards the back of the knees. Soften the knees a bit. Feel the base of the spine, lift. Breathe. And then you go into that swing and use that velocity. I want to go a little bit higher here. There's got to be parts and pieces here that work for you. Even if you're just staying up and you're working with the swing. The faster we go, the more we forget or lose foundation, which is a bad idea. Almost done there. And then since it is an intermediate advanced class, we do need to get the heart rate up a little bit though. You definitely do feel it when you're working at weights. You can work the weights very slowly and you can feel your heart and you feel yourself sweating. So let's get in a couple of Tabatas. Let's sneak a couple Tabatas in here and then we'll sneak a couple more. So Tabatas are just 20-second interval, getting the heart rate up. And it's great to work around the room. It's great to work in sort of an unpredictable manner that can really help with balance. So for 20 seconds, I want you to just walk in place. Now, if the cardio portion isn't going to work for you, that's okay. find something or a stretch that we did that you feel you might need more of, or something that's special care for you in your body, maybe a move that the physical therapist gave you, or a favorite move of yours. So take this time out to just get the heart rate up. Work on the range, right? If we're going on a low range, the heart rate just isn't going to get up enough. We want to work the muscles as much as we can. So go for a range. We're just going to take a break or maybe a hold for a moment for 10 seconds. So we can just go leisure, or we can get into that foundation training move. Sphere of tension that was in the first video. Going through all the points, and maybe you can come forward a little bit. If just you want to combine a little bit. We're going to go right into another Tabata, right into movement. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Same as before with an optional progression. Move around a bit. Start to bring in that spatial awareness. You can twist a little bit. Keep the head up though. Sacrifice the speed you might be taking for a decent height on this. And then after the 20 seconds, we'll go into the hold again, or you can just get your water, relax a bit. 3, 2, 1. Right, feel like that vibration there, that yang into that slower moving hold, that yin. If you can fall into the cues a little bit more. Excellent. Come out of it, get your water if you need to. Go into a couple more of these circuits, these sets. Sprinkle in the cardio. So we're going to a staggered stance. Also, I want to say lunge, but that's too scary. I want you to think Wu Chi knee. It's a softer knee. What's great about moving the knees a bit is that we don't rely on the joints so much. We get into the muscles a little bit more. So I encourage some movement in the knees here. So lunge will build up to a bent over row, and then the bent over row will come away from the body, and that's how it gets a little bit more challenging. Foundation cues. Okay, so okay if that back heel lifts up a little bit more, that's normal, what happens in a lunge. But if you're feeling a little bit more secure with that back foot down in these movements, go for it. One cue we want to bring in here, foundation training, is we want to feel that squeeze of the thighs, scissoring. Feel it coming up, feel it coming back as we work that a little bit more. See that activation when we're lunging, when we're moving the knee in various ways, makes us feel a little bit more stable. Okay, I'm gonna bring in the bent over row action with all that lower body. As I lean forward, I hinge, but I don't come from the center of my back. Okay, if I'm gonna bring it up, if I'm gonna do a little bit more here, the row is gonna come out. The object goes farther away from the body. It does get to be a little bit harder. So encourage some knee movement because it will bring a little bit more muscle usage there. Finding those cues, squeezing. All right, so grab your object or objects and just be your hands as well. Feeling the lower body, the foundational cues. Adding the upper. Right, bending down, picking something up. Seeing if we can have the arms out, away from the body, brings the core in a little bit more. How do we work with these moves? How do we make them functional and every day? Lift the chest up. Feel from the back of the neck, the base of the spine. The scissoring, squeezing of the thighs. Excellent job. Go to the other side. Come out of it with ease. You'll be noticing some big differences as we notice differences in muscle relationship and tension and loose in various places. It's okay. It's not up for judgment. It's just up for awareness. How do we work the foundation training cues here? That scissoring, that squeezing, the softness of the knees. And then we bring in the movement. That row. And then that side move, lifting. Working lateral muscles a little bit more, especially those deltoids, that one in the center. Okay, bringing in the weight. Feeling the feet, not gripping the mat, instead stretching out. Feeling the squeeze of the thighs. Even working on the hinge a bit. You're safely doing this, safely. Toughy. Feeling those points of posture. Feeling that breath. Feeling the object work away from itself, which is a sphere of tension we first learned in foundation training, to just put those fingers and thumbs together and create that tension in front. Now we're creating the tension with weight and with different areas. So awareness all the way through, holding that point right there, wherever you found. Go to all your points, neck, all the way down to feet. And take your time, come out of it, right? Isometric action, just concentration, contraction, awareness throughout the body of what you're using. Do another one, sprinkle in a couple more Tabatas after it. Side lunge, now the weight transfers. As wide as you're comfortable, and you're okay to use the chair, right? This is intermediate, more advanced. So we're looking to move away from the chair. Feeling the foundation training cues. Dropping the arms down. Yeah, as we'll be holding the weights. So we just want to make sure, if I have those weights, I'm coming down. You can come up side to side if you need to, or you can stay low if you need to. And then those weights are eventually going to be a tricep back. So there's the challenge. There's the movements, there's the progressions in the movement. And you can take what you'd like and you can leave what you don't like. And we might get in the way a little bit, might need to work it a little bit. You don't have to go for range. You stay with foundation and then you work there. I'm okay with this. Am I paying attention to my feet, my knees, my lower back, my rib cage, the back of my neck? Let's just let range go a little bit for now. And coming up to center, as I just mimic something that's very functional for me. That's perhaps holding the back of a kayak. Right, that's what it's about. It's taking into a functional move that you might need to do. Being very, very careful, aware with the body. We all have places, aches, issues, injuries, things like that. And we all need to move in daily life. And so we need to figure out how, right? Okay, let's go. A little bit of cardio here. 20 seconds. You can take it as a stretch time. None of that was really that easy. So a nice stretch, maybe wide leg forward fold, or even back to downward facing dog and working out any issues there. Still got to keep up with foundation. So on the upper body, right? It's like lifting the rib cage up, dropping the sit bones down maybe a little bit more to refrain from any tightness or forward folding or more like heaving. Almost there, and then we'll take that hold or we'll take that break, right? I'm pushing it a little bit into that intermediate and advanced zone. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm just gonna go for the classic wide leg forward fold. It's tension, hinge. Someone has their hands on your hips and they're pulling you back. I'm gonna hold that for 10 and go right into another cardio. It's our classic foundation training move. One of them, the other one we're starting this month is the same exact pose except in a staggered stance or lunge. Come up, cardio. Look up. Multi-direction. Even helps to be working around the chair. Moving from behind. Work on reflex. The more we sprinkle in, right, the more chances the range goes down and the body goes forward. So we don't want to lose that. Three, 2, 1, grab your water. And let's finish it out, our last couple of sets here. Let's hold in 2 more things of cardio, but you can even begin stretching there if you want to. We're gonna go into a pelvic curl. Yeah, we're gonna go easy and then we're gonna go a little bit harder. So I'm just gonna squeeze there. Feeling the thighs draw together. You can even stand a little bit closer if you want to, great for balance, and just feel the thighs squeezing and feel the glutes squeezing with the soft knee. Okay, great position here. Stretches out the front of the body, strengthens the glutes, and strengthens the back just a little bit too. Yoga block works as well. You want to be really careful about keeping things pretty even. With the chest. Okay, let's get into the move, which was a torso twist. Now you're not going to have much twisting here, especially because you're activating, contracting. The rib cage will be limiting here, but we have the torso twist. Just a bit of move here. And don't give in to the twist. Don't let the lower body give in to the twist. And that's the movement. So yoga block, weights, whatever you're feeling there. You can keep the object close. The progression will be bringing it out. Activation, feet close together, feeling the thighs squeeze, feeling the glutes squeeze, rib cage lift up. Breath, diaphragmatic breathing. Rotate. We're really trying to take care of that sacrum. We're feeling that guy wire system. Think of the Bay Bridge. Our main cable, our spine, and a lot of other cables supporting it. twisting, working with the wind as it does in bad weather, right? So working with the elasticity that we have. Okay, extend out. More core. I don't have to go for full range, but I'm gonna go out a bit and just feel it in the core a little bit as you squeeze, contract, soften the knee. Mind's eye on the total kinetic chain. It's just your whole body. Excellent. Precarious move, precarious plane. So we really need to isolate and make sure we're aware how to use the core. That's it. Optional. Would you like to be up in vertical and focus on the balance? Or do you want to come into the chair and work on the plank a little bit? Remember to take the weight entirely off the wrists and see if you can spread out the fingers and thumbs and distribute it. First move, take it up. Come up, all the points of foundation training, even the sphere of tension, get the core in there. We're gonna bring the knee up and back down. So if you're on the chair, at that angle, do a mountain climber, your knee up, knee in. Simple transfer to the other side. I want you to be really careful about how you're shifting the weight and that you're staying up and elongated. Feeling the spine stretch and lift rather than compress these movements. Vertical or halfway between vertical and horizontal. Next movement. Again, you can go back and forth. Try one in the chair, come up. Go into the chair for this one. So a sphere of tension to get the core is by adding more mobility, more weight to the upper body, and you're just going to bring a single leg and just lift. So if you're standing, it's okay if you want to come forward just a little bit, hinge a little bit forward to refrain from unnecessary compression in the lumbar or lower back region. Take your time, go ahead and switch, right? We want to feel that foundation cue. We want to feel that we can drop into it pretty securely. There we go. And you're on for 2 Tabatas now. Go right into it. Or you can do a nice downward dog stretch if you're ready for that stretching component to happen. Cardio is important. 10 minutes of brisk walking a day can do wonders for your body. But we also have to think the importance of mobility. Even before that, the foundation of how we're standing when we're attempting to stretch. That is important for muscle building and for the body feeling less pain and more longevity. I'm going to do a staggered stance, lunge, hold for 10. Let's go ahead and get into that position if that's what you want to do. See if you can drop right into it. So it's the wide leg. It's just with a staggered stance. So all the cues feel the same, except we're stretching a different part of the body and you get to have that scissoring effect going on. So I can go soft knees and I can still scissor. I can still feel that activation. And then I'll do the other side after the next cardio. Lift the feet up rather than squeezing. We want to stretch. Second cardio. You got this. What cues can you bring in? Dropping the hip bones a bit more, pushing the chest up, letting it pull at the base of the spine, back of the neck. I almost there. And then I'm going to switch legs into my lunge, into my foundation training. Hold, 3, 2, 1. How quickly can we get into the cues? Hinging, I'm going to feel it out. And then come all the way up. Excellent job, you're in the chair. 3 final stretches, great stretches for you, do great things. Stand out in front, make sure you're not slumping. Prop up one leg for support. Lift the other just for a minute, we'll modify boat pose. And then draw the same knee to the same armpit. Making sure your sit bones are onto the chair. Extend the knee out and begin a little bit of nerve flossing. Our new favorite way to both start the class oftentimes and end the class, to take care of that hip and back health, right? So this really addresses nerve pain, specifically sciatica. As you get the nerve to floss, and then we stretch those outward rotator muscles a bit more in pigeon. And back down, extend out, it's just good practice. Prop the knee up, boat, what kind of power you got there. Bringing that knee up, there's that lumbar, that's a telltale, how your back is feeling. And then into a little flossing. And then deepen those horizontal muscles, let them stretch out. Feel the left through the spine. What kind of cues and foundation training can you bring in right now? Do a little neck roll. Boost it up a bit. Great. We'll end up by coming up out of the chair, using chair pose a bit, using foundational training cues. Get my knees over my toes, access my larger muscles more. Great. Hope you're feeling good. And thank you for viewing and watching.
Good. I'm glad I'm back.